I have a son, Adam, who is 10 now, and who unfortunately in the first 2 years of his life was severely affected by vaccines. He had a number of adverse reactions to his 2, his 4, his 6 and his 13-month vaccines. If you are the parent of a vaccine-injured child in Ireland today, or you are vaccine-injured yourself, if you speak about what happened to you, and if you seek help from anyone and everyone around you, you know, you're practically lynched on the side of the street. You know, there's hostility towards you. I've been asked to leave doctor's surgeries. There have been lies told about my family in the media. And you know, I feel like, what terrible crime have I committed? What have I done other than what every parent in the world do? Advocate for their child. Try and get help for their child.
This is Mary Godley, who is an autistic mother to an autistic son, and she is also an advocate to raising awareness for Autism Awareness Month. Mary was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome in 2012 and has been passionately involved since then to make a difference. This is her story.
Hello everybody. I'm just making this this video today because I want to talk a little bit about something that I haven't really ever talked about before. So just to introduce myself, my name is Mary Godley. I'm a woman in my 40s. But I have a son who I've written a lot about and spoken a lot about, Adam, who is 10 now, and who has an autism diagnosis that would be regressive autism, i.e. he wasn't born with it. It's a very difficult life for him. As I said, I'm going to submit this podcast to Peeps TV, as they are looking for contributions for a new program about living with autism. So they want parents and people with autism to to make podcasts or videos on your phone and send them into them. So I'm going to do that because, as Polly was saying, people don't realize what it's actually like living with autism. People don't realize how our children suffer. People don't realize how our life is not normal in any way. You can't just put the autism away and go out for a family day out or anything like that. So I'm going to make a number of recordings over the next few weeks and months of just our ordinary day-to-day life. But just to make a long story short, today I just want to talk about my own autism. It's not really something that I have, talked that much about. I was only diagnosed in 2012, so, it's only 6 years ago. So for the vast majority of my life, I didn't have a diagnosis. The diagnosis that I got was Asperger's syndrome / high functioning autism. I got into trouble recently on an autism group for, talking about high functioning autism, because I said it's not really a term you're supposed to use anymore. And I said, I'm sorry, but that's what I was diagnosed with. That's my diagnosis. But I know there's a lot of talk in the media about accepting your autism, embracing it. Look, when I was first diagnosed, it was a huge relief to me because I had known all of my life, since I was old enough to talk, to remember, that I was different. Um, um, it was terrible. At school, I was bullied, relentlessly for years. I wasn't able to sleep at night when I had to go to school. I started doing OCD rituals in my head, like, numbers and repeating certain phrases over and over and over. I had no idea that I had autism. As a teenager, it progressed. I mean, as a woman with high functioning autism, I'm pretty typical in the sense that I hid it, I suppressed it all inside of me. I became the world's greatest actress. I've kind of reinvented myself a few times with different images and, different avenues of expression of myself. But always, inside of me, I was dying. It meant, this suppressing who I was because I felt there was something really wrong with me. It's caused me endless trouble throughout my life. It has interfered with my education. I mean, I was an extremely intelligent person. I didn't have any trouble with schoolwork, except for maths. I was always really bad at maths. And now I know there's a reason for that. A lot of people on the autistic spectrum have a disability in the area of maths, a learning disability. But, because I was lying at everything else, people used to say, oh, you're just lazy. And I wasn't, because no matter how many hours I spent poring over a maths book, I just couldn't figure it out. So, my autism interfered with me going to college because there was no transition. It was, I was at school and I had a couple of good friends in secondary school. I didn't have any good close friends in national school. But by the time I got into secondary school, I realised what I needed to do to make friends, and I was able to open up. I was learning all the time. I mean, women with high functioning autism, Asperger's syndrome, whatever it's called now, they are, they observe and they learn and they mimic other people, because so many people say to me all the time, you don't seem like you have autism. And I know a lot of people don't believe I have autism, but I do have the diagnosis, and I was 100% convinced I had autism before I even got the diagnosis. Anyway, this whole idea of autism is not a disability, it's a difference. It's just a different way of being. I'm sorry, but I don't agree. I mean, I know there are some people with autism who excel and lead fabulous lives and do wonderful things, but that just hasn't been my experience. And I feel that there's a lot more people like me out there. We've struggled. I was bullied. I have depression. I have social anxiety. I struggle with social interactions big time. And the worst thing about it is I can act normal, so people think I'm just a horrible old cow, because I don't have time for idle chit chat. I just want to get on with what needs to be done. And the irony of all of this is that the disability services that I have dealt with here in Ireland, they struggle hugely with me. I keep telling them, and I've been telling them for years, I have autism. You need to make, more written communication, less meetings. I can't cope with a load of people at meetings. They're all on one side and I'm there on my own, trying to find my corner, and it's really, really stressful. And it's gotten to the stage with the local disability services that the last meeting they had about my son Adam, they just excluded me from it. I found out at 10 a.m. on a Friday morning that they were having a meeting about my son at 12. My son was off school sick. The school had just phoned me and they told me to go and collect my son from school because he was sick. So I said, guys, I can't attend the meeting today. Can we reschedule it? They went ahead and had it without me, because they're so tired of me. I think anyway, constantly insisting that they help my son. And because I prefer written communication, I've emailed them a lot. I have emailed them a lot. That is my preferred method of communication. But that is absolutely classically typical for an autistic person. You want to communicate in writing, by email, by text message. I mean, I communicate with my mother with text message all the time, and sometimes my text messages are so long. My daughter or someone else might say, "Would you just ring her?" No, sometimes I do, but I'm just so much more comfortable with written communication. It's just one of the things that has made it difficult for me, because when people get blunt emails from me, they just think I'm an old cow. I'm an ignorant old cow, But it's just I don't filter, I just write my thoughts in my head straight down on the paper, and I don't put in the social niceties that I'm supposed to put in, because I'm not neurotypical. So that's just an example of some of the areas that I struggle in. But I mean, I can pass for neurotypical, even though I struggle in so many areas. But my son Adam can't. Adam is nonverbal. He's got a host of health problems. This is another thing. Autism is just a neurological difference. You're not sick. You don't have a disease. Well, you see, the science kind of doesn't stack up to that now, and that's not a problem. That's the biggest issue I had. When I was diagnosed back in 2012, I looked at the neurodiversity movement, and I wanted to be part of it, because I had thought I had finally found my people. I had finally found others like me. I wasn't the only alien on the planet. There was other autistic people, and it was wonderful. It was a wonderful awakening for me. But my son at the time that's 2012, 6 years ago. So my son was 4, and I was aware of the fact that he did have terrible health issues that couldn't possibly be because of a neurological difference. There had to be medical reasons for what was wrong with my child. So here I was listening to the neurodiversity movement telling me, don't worry about your child's foul-smelling acidic diarrhea that's burning his inner thighs 3 or 4 times a day. That's okay. That's just his difference. He's banging his head off the wall because he has autism. And I'm thinking, does he have a neurological injury as opposed to a neurological difference, maybe? No, you just have to accept that. I struggled. Now, as a person with autism, I have an analytical mind. And I need to go and research a topic myself and look at the pros and the cons of it. And so I started reading a lot of, science about the health issues that people with autism tend to have. And of course I came across gastrointestinal issues. It was like a red flashing light in my face. My son had gastrointestinal issues. That wasn't the only thing I found, but at the moment at that time that was the most pressing thing for me. Subsequently we had to go abroad and we got a diagnosis. My son has a diseased terminal ileum. It's there. I have the photographs of it. I have all the scientific studies to verify that this is prevalent in people with autism. And then I go to the autism community and they're telling me, oh no, it's just a neurological difference. I'm sorry guys, but where is the analytical brain? And now I'm kind of a person that's in no woman's land, because it's still politically correct to say woman, you know, because I'm autistic. Obviously, I don't hate myself, you know, because people in the autism community are saying that if I believe my child has regressive autism that was caused by an interplay between genetic predisposition and environmental toxins, well, then I'm the enemy, you know. Oh, she wants to, you know, destroy autistic people. She hates us. She wants us, you know, she wants us all to leave this planet. All of these things. Well, like, that then, guys, would mean that I actually hate myself. And this is the, you know, problem with this argument. If you want to embrace your autism, I'm happy for you. Really, I am. You know, I'm happy for anyone that wants to embrace their autism. But personally, for me, it has been a struggle. For my son, it has been a massive struggle, and it still is. And I'm sorry, guys, but I just can't sit back and say I'm going to embrace my son's gastrointestinal issues. I'm going to go yippee every time I have to rub cream on his inner thighs because they're just red raw from the horrible diarrhea that he has. You know? I can't say, oh, well, isn't autism amazing, when he is bashing his hand off his head. And you're lucky if it's just his hand, because a lot of the time it's his fist. Or, you know, he might actually be trying to crack your wall, which he did once, the force of banging his head off it. And if you try to stop him, he'll lash out at you. He'll injure you, you know. I find it really difficult to celebrate that. But lads, I've got my blue fleece on today, you know, because we've got Autism Awareness Month coming up soon. And, you know, lighted blue for autism. It's not going to make any difference to my life. Granted, sometimes when I'm in the supermarket, it would make my life easier if people realise that my son is acting the way that he is. He's throwing the groceries around the shop. He's trying to attack me. Doesn't happen very often, but sometimes if he's having a bad phase, he might attack me. But he has got this horrible habit of throwing everything now at the moment because he thinks it's funny and he wants you to interact and play with him. Other people don't see it that way, you know, and it's really difficult. Anyway, lads, this is just a little bit of an introduction. As I was saying, I would like to talk a lot more about living with autism in Ireland, both in terms of being a person with autism myself and having a son with autism. And I really want to compare and contrast, I suppose, what my limitations are because of my autism and what my son's are. You know, we're in a completely different place. And, you know, I think this has to be highlighted. The people that are saying we love our autism, we embrace it, it's just a neurological difference, are in a completely different place to, you know, the children that we're seeing now. The autism, I don't even know if it's the same condition, but the autism that we're seeing now is really, really more severe. It's regressive autism. It's caused by an interplay of genetics and environmental factors. And that's the fact. And the reason that I don't know more people like myself who have struggled all their life with their autism is because we don't get any coverage in the media. And there's a major, you know, silence being put on me, gagging order. I've spent months trying to get on the local radio station, and they've come up with every excuse that there is not to have me on. But I know it's because I might mention my son's bowel disease, or I might talk about, you know, his injuries and how he got injured. So for that reason, there's a huge gagging order on me. But lads, I'm going to have to break through that. And I'm hoping that by, you know, videoing my son on a regular basis, videoing myself, that I can make some progress in that area. And I'm going to try and make it my priority for April for Autism Awareness Month. So guys, I hope to be talking to you a lot more about this now. Now I've just rambled on a bit today because I'm only after thinking about doing this. But in the future I'll be a bit more organised and I'm going to do a little bit of work to this video, and then I'm going to send it to Peeps TV. If anybody else wants to, you know, show their experiences of autism, family member, child, themselves, whoever it may be, you can send them to it's Brian Burrows at peepstv.org. That's Brian, Brian Burrows, BURROWES at peepstv.org. Anyway, you can find out a lot more information about that. It's Roku. Peeps TV. You'll also get a lot of information about it on the We Are Vaxxed Facebook page as well. So that's it for now, guys. Bye.